In this video we are using Sketchup to create a 3D room visualization, and the room is going to be drawn to scale, more or less. So head on over to edu.sketchup.com/app and sign in with your school Google accounts. Failing that, if that doesn't work, just head on over to sketchup.com, choose personal projects and then SketchUp free. So let's create a brand new SketchUp project. Here goes. On the right hand side there is an I button for information, model info. I am going to change the format for this model to centimeters. Then, using the scenes button, I am going to choose the overhead mode. This will prevent us from drawing rectangles on the wrong axes. So speaking of rectangles, press R for the rectangle tool, or you can choose it from the menu. And then the little person, there should be a person there. Click and drag a rectangle around the person. And then because this room is going to be drawn to scale, I am going to type in 440,320. So the room is 440, you can see down here, 440 centimeters in length and 320 by width. Press enter to confirm. And now we've drawn the room exactly to scale as we want. It's probably worth mentioning at this point a few shortcuts, useful shortcuts. H selects the pan tool where we can pan up, down, left and right. It's a really useful tool, H, and then spacebar goes back to the select tool. So H, spacebar. Clicking on the wheel button enables you to orbit, which is pretty cool. And you can also use the wheel itself to zoom in and zoom out. I'm just going to pop it back onto the overhead mode. Let's now use the offset tool to add some walls. So using the, clicking on the push pull tool, not sure why it's under that menu, but there's one here called offset. Click onto that one. Then you'll notice this red dot appears. Click on that outer wall, click, and then drag. You can create this groovy offset. Now we want this to be to scale, so I'm going to type in 20 to make this 20 centimeters. Now we will want to be able to look into the room, so we want to get rid of one of the walls. So I'm going to chop the wall up very slightly. So using the line tool, I'm going to click on this corner and draw a line. Now when you are drawing lines, you'll notice that it snaps. You see that? It just snapped to green on here. Get this snap effect. So when you're using SketchUp and you want something to be straight, make sure that whatever you're doing or moving or drawing has snapped into position. I'm going to do the same this side. There we go. Now, using the push-pull tool, you can press P for that one, or you can choose it from here. I can now create... Oh, I've got the wrong thing selected. Control Z. You'll be doing that an awful lot. Spacebar. Click to select. You'll see the shapes are come up with these dotted dots on them. Then P for push pull. Click, and then drag the mouse towards you. And then you've created some walls. Now the height of this room is 240 centimeters. So we're typing 240. Enter, and then it will snap to that exact size. Now, spacebar, right, then I'm going to orbit around. Let's do the door next. So there's a few ways of doing this, but I'm going to use the line tool to draw where the door is going to be. So I'm going to start here, click, and then click. Now, I want that length, the height of the door to be 200, so I'm typing in 200. And then it will snap to the exact height. Then I can click again, make sure that this is snapped into position, right? So then we end up with straight lines. Click again, then I'm going to type in 80, because I want it to be 80 wide. No, that seems to have disappeared. Let me try that again. Okay, let me just draw a rectangle, it'll be easier. Click. Click and drag. There we go. Right, 80, comma 200. Oh, the wrong way around. 200, comma 80. That is where our door is going to be. Then using the push-pull tool, spacebar first, select it, push-pull, and then I can get rid of that space, right? So that's where our door is going to go. Now you might have noticed in the visualization I showed you earlier, we've got this chimney breast that sticks out. So let me try and use the line tool again for this one, see if it works how I think it will. So click, and then click again, and then type in the distance that I want there, which is 120. And now from that point, I should be able to click outwards. That distance there is 35 centimeters. Then I should be able to click and go across. That distance is 140. And then from here, click, click, and then that's where the chimney breast is going to go. Spacebar to select. Click to select that shape we've just drawn. P push-pull tool, drag it up, and you'll notice that when you move the mouse across like this, it will just ping it up to the same height, which is pretty cool. Now for the window, so again there's a few ways of doing this. So with my pen line tool, I know I'm going to want the window to start, but it's going to be some patio doors I think, or some French doors. Click in the corner, click across, and I know it's going to be 40 centimeters across. And click again. I'm going to click upwards. I happen to know that height is 200. And then move it across again. 280. Nope, it's not 280. Let me start again from this side because I can't remember the exact width for this. So click, click, 40, enter. Now I've got the person in the way. Click on that green dot. There it is. Click, click, 200. And then from there, click across. Now pressing the space bar again. Then we can select that, and then the push-pull tool, push it out of the way. Now we've got the basic shape of our room. Okay, now to make this look a little bit more funky, because it's looking very plain at the moment. So let's head on over to the components, which is this button here. And let's search for, in fact, let's do materials first. That's probably easier. So click onto the materials button, and we've got some colors. So you can just paint the walls plain colors, should you wish, or we can use some textures. So click on this browse button, scroll down. So under wood, if we want a nice wooden floor, for example, we can choose a wooden floor and change the fill color accordingly. Now if you happen to want some custom wallpaper, if you go to the warehouse and search for wallpaper, without the hash, there's a few in there already. So if you choose one that comes up as a square like this, it will download the model. You can position it. Now as soon as you've got the model in there, you'll notice that when you go back to materials and go back to the home bit on materials, it will add an extra material. So we can click on that and then paint the walls. Yeah, there you go. It really does change the feel of the room, doesn't it? Well, I think it does. Anyway, that, then the model here, we can press the space bar, click on that one, and this box here, we can just delete that. Let's add some more components. So if we want a sofa, not a soft, but a sofa, we can select something in here. Now when you're selecting models and using the web edition, try to select models that are relatively small in size. So this one here is 0.33 megabytes. It's perfect. If it comes up with a warning telling you, hey, this model's really big and it will slow down, then just cancel it. I wouldn't use use models if they are really complicated in the web browser edition of Sketchup, otherwise it can slow down quite a lot. Now you'll notice this sofa is not the way around that I want it, so I'm going to want to rotate it. Press Q on the keyboard, that's the shortcut for rotate. Now a little tip with rotation, when you've got this protractor thing that comes out, make sure that it is set to a colour. If it's black, you're going to be rotating it along a strange angle, so make sure it is blue preferably. So you click once, click again, make sure that line has snapped. So you see there it's just snapped to green. So click once, click twice, and then you can rotate it around. And it should snap, there we go. So you can see it's snapped onto the red axis. That will make sure it's nice and straight. Of course, if you want it at a weird angle, then that's fine. You can press M to move and scale objects. Now this can be a little bit frustrating sometimes, because remember, you are producing something that's 3D on a 2D screen. So the computer doesn't always get where you're trying to move an object. So depending on where you click on the object will depend on which axis it's going to move it on. But it takes a little bit of getting used to, but have a play around with it and you'll eventually figure it out. We might want television. So there's one. Again, it's a bit big, so we can use the S scale tool if we want to move it, change the scale a little bit. M is the shortcut for move. Oh, there it is snapped. Remember, if it goes wrong, press Ctrl Z. Spacebar, remember, goes back to your select tool. That's not quite where I want it. But, oh, as I said earlier, it takes a little bit of getting used to. This went so much better when I rehearsed this. Never mind. Anyway, somewhere there. It's not quite perfect, but there we go. French doors. Let's see if we can find some nice doors. There's some French doors. Now, as you can see, this is completely the wrong way around. So you can either give up, press the delete key and choose another one, or press H and pan across. You can use the rotation tool. So I'm going to rotate it this time along the red axis, and then I can move that eventually into the right place where I want it. S for scale, because it's not quite the right size. Again, it's not quite the right way around at the moment either. So I can, again, use Q, this time rotating along the blue axis, then M, move, S, scale. It's not necessarily the best. Full set of doors. Again, you might need to experiment a little bit to get that how you want. There you go, that's not too bad, is it? What else? You can add some bookcases, as I did to the previous one, if you wanted to. But the idea of this exercise is just getting used to moving objects around and creating a visualization to scale. Anyway, have fun with it, see what you can do.